Welcome to the BJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brad and John, they're the ones to follow. Get ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
It is the BJ Show. Today's date is Wednesday, March the 12th, 2025. This is the A block, which means we start right around 7 o'clock. You may be saying, why are you telling me that? I know it's Wednesday. I know it's a little bit after 7 o'clock. Well, a lot of people listen to this show in the future on our podcast, which is bjshow.co, or on our video podcast, which is bjshow.video. So that way you get a reference point to some of the things we talk about. The guy who is the most important part of the show, I'm just like the sideline kind of guy. I'm got like the sideline reporter. You know, the only problem with that is, John, if you watch any of the football games, the sideline reporters are almost always women. But I'm the sideline reporter. But the guy up in the booth, the guy looking down at the field who knows all the plays is John Combest. Right, John?
You're the Susie Kobler to my Joe Namath.
That's right. And what John does is he puts together this incredible website. It's done for 23 plus years. It's called johncombest.com, C-O-M-B-E-S-T. Put the John in front of it, a .com at the end, and you got it. He puts together sometimes dozens of things every single day. But what we do is we call this guy in, and your name is, sir?
I'm Casey Kasem.
And what exactly do you do?
We're on our way to the number one.
We count them down, and we start with?
In third place.
Tap. Woke up looking for the broccoli. High key. Keep a horn on me. That Kamasi. Brad, where are you on broccoli?
I love broccoli. Matter of fact, the new McDonald's broccoli burger is one of my favorites.
I heard that you were part of the test market for it, and they knew. They said if you get Brad Hildebrand, you got Middle America.
That's right.
Great to know, Brad. I didn't know that you were a broccoli fan.
Oh, my God. I can't get enough broccoli.
What's that?
I said I can't get enough broccoli. Sometimes I have to be honest with you. Since, you know, it used to be Schnucks was open 24 hours a day. Now they're not. Sometimes at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I think to myself, I got to have broccoli. It's tough.
You and all the other junkies, like you would see them in the aisle at Schnucks and kind of give them a nod. Now, you're a lot like me. You would start in the clearance aisle and look for some of the frozen broccoli that, you know, they put in there that might be a day old. I will tell you who's not a fan of broccoli, and that's a gentleman named Mark Alford. He was on our friend Pete Mundo's show over in Kansas City, and he was talking about this continuing resolution that the House just passed. It was a big controversial deal that I believe funds all the government agencies through September, whether the beginning or end of September, I don't remember. But Alford's metaphor that he used was he doesn't like this continuing resolution at all. In fact, he doesn't want to vote for more spending, and he understands why people, particularly conservatives, are so mad. But Alford said, look, sometimes you got to eat your broccoli before you get your dessert. Don't start with the dessert. Don't start by cutting government and doing all the fun stuff like getting rid of these dumb government programs. Sometimes eat your broccoli, and then you can look forward to dessert. I think, first of all, it's a unique metaphor. Let's give Alford that. And it also leads us to, still in story number 3, a terrific piece by Jason Rosenbaum. It's the very top of my website today. And Rosenbaum highlights what I think is the biggest, largely unspoken tension revealed by Rosenbaum among Republicans today, which is so many of us libertarian/conservative type Republicans are cheering these cuts to government. We hear about Linda McMahon slashing the size of the Department of Education. But then we say, hey, cut all that other stuff. Just make sure you leave those NGA jobs in St. Louis. Hey, get rid of all those pointy-headed bureaucrats. But hey, don't touch those USDA jobs over in Kansas City. The tension here, in my opinion, is many of us love the idea of slashing government. But please don't do it to Missouri bureaucrat jobs. Rosenbaum does a great job, as you would expect, going to these Republican legislators and saying, what is your position on cuts to things like NGA? What's your position on cuts to federal jobs across the state of Missouri? It's hard for Republicans to thread the needle between having their broccoli, having their cake dessert, and eating it too. That's story number 3 today, Brad.
Well, John, you've just proven to me that I'm not a Republican.
Why is that? Because you say just slash them all?
Yeah, get rid of them all. I'm telling you. I mean, see, once again,
go ahead.
Once again, libertarian philosophy is the government that governs least governs best. And what's happened is this creep, like let's go back, after 1800, okay, 1800, okay? Did we have a National Parks Department back in 1800? No.
Absolutely not.
Did we have all these different various agencies? Do we have Department of Transportation? Do we have all these different departments? No. And the crazy thing about this is, why do we have these? Because it's government in general. It's like, I will never forget. I will tell you this right now. Richard West, I believe that's his name. He's a state rep, right? Used to be mayor out in New Melle. I went to a luncheon of legislators, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago with the O'Fallon Chamber of Commerce, and he made the comment that in 7 years, the Missouri budget had grown to twice its size, and he pointed out the fact that the Missouri budget is larger than the budget in Illinois. Now, when you think Illinois, you think lots of taxes, right? How in the world does Missouri have a larger budget than Illinois? John, how is that?
Well, first of all, Illinois is both intellectually and morally bankrupt.
Well, the point being is, I say NGA, you know what? I think Elon Musk could probably get a bunch of his pointy-headed nerd boys who could probably do everything the NGA is doing, probably do it better and cheaper. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you mean. And in the spirit of getting you ginned up, one of your favorite subjects is in story number 2. I think we should get to that one right now.
Up a notch to number 2.
Brad, you're a big fan of higher education. You're an even bigger fan of the University of Missouri. We won't even be as UMSL specific as we need to be. Were you aware, Brad? I think you probably were, but were you aware that in order to get certain degrees in the state of Missouri, you have to go to a school that's part of the University of Missouri system or a school that contracts with the University of Missouri? Were you familiar with that?
Explain this again. What now? Again now?
To get certain, and I'll read, by the way, there were 2 pieces that I have up today. One is from the Missouri Independent, and one is from the Columbia Missourian. And the content creator, Annalise Hanshaw, at the Missouri Independent, explains it succinctly. State law currently bars other public colleges, so anybody that's not part of the University of Missouri system, bars other public colleges from offering research doctorates and first professional degrees, which includes areas like dentistry and veterinary medicine. Public universities are only allowed to offer degrees in podiatry, chiropractic, osteopathic medicine, and engineering if they have a partnership with the University of Missouri in these programs. And the reason why this came to the forefront, Brad, is that every few years, legislators from Springfield introduce legislation that essentially says, look, we want Missouri State to start being able to offer some of these advanced programs, some of these advanced degrees. And every year, the University of Missouri system says, not going to happen. And it's really been a testament to the stroke, the influence of the University of Missouri system to be able to kill these proposals every year. And the news piece of this is that State Senator Lincoln Huff, who's an influential Republican from Springfield, is pushing the legislation again this year. And he says this is about keeping, retaining, and building the workforce this state needs over the next few generations. So this is an example of higher education institutions in the state arguing among themselves. Mizzou, I shouldn't say Mizzou, the University of Missouri system, it appears, has a pretty sweetheart deal, almost a cartel-like lock on certain degrees, which says that other universities can't offer them. What do you think of this, Brad?
Well, now, hold on a minute. Now, you just said something. I'm not the expert at Logan College of Chiropractic, but there's a university, or whatever they call them, the Logan University. Now, does it have an agreement with the University of Missouri?
They must, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure they must have some kind of so maybe they pay, and again, I don't know for sure, but you know, when you mention engineering degrees, Washington University offers engineering degrees as well. So as I read this, they must have some kind of an agreement with the University of Missouri. Maybe they pay a little bit of vigorish, so to speak. And before we dive too far down into that, Brad, I want to point out one of the unique, I guess, arguments against against Missouri State and in favor of the University of Missouri. There's a conservative Republican in the western part of the state named Rick Bratton. And his concern is that if we allow all these other universities to offer all these other degrees, his concern appears to be that those universities are just going to come to the state of Missouri. They're going to come to the legislature every year and say, okay, we need X $100 million because we want to build our engineering program here at University XYZ. It's not fair that these other schools have engineering programs. Rick Bratton seems to be making a fiscal responsibility argument and saying, like, look, if we allow this, everybody's going to come to us every year and just want more money, and it's going to cost people way more money to have all these other schools offering these degrees. Now, to me, it seems like a free market thing. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't want Missouri State to be able to offer a law degree or a chiropractic degree. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I think the solution there is bring Nancy Reagan back from the grave and put her in Jefferson City. So when these institutions that would come to them for money, they would prop up Nancy and she would just say no. You know?
Yeah, you could do the Biden type thing. She could be a Weekend at Bernie's thing.
You know, John, I'll be honest with you. Stories like this bother me. You know why it bothers me?
Why is that?
It's the government cartel. The government cartel is, you can't do this unless we approve it. You know, come on. You know, I mean, like, once again, go back 200 years. Do you think that there would be this kind of argument in the Missouri legislature? Was there even a Missouri legislature 20 years ago?
There would be that type of argument.
1821.
I think it would be. I think it's a testament to whoever created this in the University of Missouri system. I can see them going to the state legislature with their other University of Missouri pals and being like, look, guys, we don't want some of these second-rate dinky colleges invading on our territory. Let's just set up a thing where you got to at least associate with us. And that way we can be assured that the standard of education for these advanced research degrees remains of the highest integrity. And that's their talking point. And then you keep the Missouri States of the world from giving out a law degree.
But John, don't you see a little hypocrisy here?
What's that?
On one hand, the Missouri University of Missouri system is essentially acting as a cartel and essentially saying Missouri State, you can't have a you can't have a law school. On the other hand, they're saying, hey, we don't want these radio stations. We're going to give them to the Friends of KWMU. We're just going to give them because we don't want anything to do with this radio station anymore. We're just going to give it to the Friends of KWMU. And Joe Mannies is going to pretend like it's not happening. Oh, we don't know what's going to happen. One of these days, the license is just going to end up in our hands. We don't know how it happened. Am I making any sense, John?
I heard that the University of Missouri, UMSL, I heard that some of their decision makers were just on Facebook Marketplace, and they actually cut a deal with a guy. They're going to get 7 lawnmowers in exchange for the radio licenses.
I still say, John, you and I should start a not-for-profit, and we should send a bid into University of Missouri curators for KWMU, KMST, WQXB, or QUB, whatever it is, and say, we'll pay $10 million per license for these. That's $30 million. Okay? Friends of KWMU, pony up or get the hell out, right?
Yeah, see if they call the bluff there.
Right. Okay. We ready for number one?
We sure are.
The number one.
I wanted to save another higher education story for you, Brad. Today, I think is just a day to get you ginned up on hump day. At the University of Missouri, Columbia, students protested Donald Trump. You know, he's made some comments about Gaza. Maybe we could just purchase Gaza. And there's some students that don't find the humor in that. And they taught Donald Trump a lesson yesterday, because they walked out of class yesterday and they walked from Speaker's Circle at Mizzou all the way to Peace Park in Columbia. They don't think Donald Trump's comments are funny. And their protests had another point to it as well. The woman who is the publicist of the Missouri Students for Justice in Palestine, she points out that the group used to have weekly rallies on Saturday. And then they just kind of fizzled out. They stopped doing them, you know. And she pointed out that they need to start bringing awareness to the Palestine issue again. because the whole thing has died down. The group is kind of slacked off, and she hopes that people know, quote, we're still here and not just sitting and watching what Trump is doing, but taking action. We should also give credit here. The other group that organized this is a group called Mizzou Young Democratic Socialists of America. So a good socialist group is putting this together. And if this story sounds a little bit familiar, I know that you frequently like to listen to NPR in St. Louis. Another story yesterday from NPR, it's kind of a sister story to this, is, quote, student activists prepare for the fight ahead as federal crackdown on protests intensifies. And this is a story from St. Louis on the Air. They got some guy that teaches African American studies at SLU to talk about how terrible everything is. And then they got a Palestinian activist at Wash U. They got a Palestinian activist at SLU. She represents Occupy SLU to talk about how, hey, we got to get ourselves back in gear. We're not going to back down. You know, they got so much attention last year, Brad, about a year ago. They're going to start revving it up again because we need to be in the forefront again. We can't let Donald Trump make jokes about Gaza and threaten us. So check out the stories today, Columbia, Missourian, and St. Louis Public Radio.
John, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you really think that that was a joke, what Trump said?
Oh, no, I think he's dead serious.
Okay, well, that's what I think. I think he's dead serious. And the interesting thing about that is...
Yeah, absolutely.
I know people are going to go, oh, man, here he goes again. This is out-of-the-box thinking. You know, when he said it, at first, I thought to myself, what? And then I thought to myself, you know what? He's got a point. You know, I mean, think about that for a minute, okay? Same situation. Okay, you have East St. Louis, which is, you know, and I was just recently drove through East St. Louis about a month or so ago, and people going like, why in the world? I like driving through East St. Louis. I love East St. Louis. There's a lot of history in East St. Louis, a lot of musical history in East St. Louis. But once again, somebody could say, okay, let's just buy all of East St. Louis and turn it into like the next Clayton. We'll build all these high-rise condos and stuff like that. It's gentrification to the max. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it could be a beautiful thing. Now, I wouldn't want to go there because you'd have to eventually go through the city of St. Louis. So I wouldn't drive there. And you certainly wouldn't want to allow Metrolink to go there. But I get your point. If you would eliminate Metrolink and you could make a safe way to get there, for sure.
Where's the best view of the arch from, John? Two.
I'm guessing the answer is across the river from Illinois.
In East St. Louis. That's the best view.
Yeah, and that's because that's where, not sorry to interrupt, but that's where all the TV stations during the fireworks demonstration, or the fireworks, you know, the old VP Fair, would all set up across the river.
Right. As a matter of fact, I've got some amazing pictures that I've taken from, of all places, the Metrolink station in East St. Louis there at the casino. And it's just breathtaking. I mean, you get up, if you've been on Metrolink,
Yeah.
that East St. Louis station right there at the casino is elevated, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 feet up in the air, maybe even taller than that. And just beautiful views. I've got one. And I've never put this on Facebook because of the fact that I don't want anybody to steal it because, you know, once you put your picture on Facebook, they own it. I've got an incredible picture of the arch with the sun setting between the legs of the arch. I mean,
wow.
Incredible shot. Matter of fact, Playboy magazine asked me for that picture because they wanted...
I was going to say, like, I mean, if you're looking for stuff that's shining between a pair of legs,
yes, they wanted
Brad's
that
probably your guy.
Okay, we move on to B Block. Man, I got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, and I'll give you a recap of my day at the Cottleville Weldon Springs Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, if folks that are listening live want to follow around, is there a place where they can see your pictures that you took from there, Brad?
I took a bunch of them. They're all over the place.
I know. That's what I'm leading you into. Is there a website where they can see those, Brad?
Westplex.com, which is the, see, here we go once again. Westplex.com, my very own Chamber of Commerce I started. What am I doing? I'm promoting another chamber because you know what? I'm that kind of guy. And all I have to say is when someone says, why would you do that? I just look at them and I smile and I say, watch Miracle on 34th Street. That's all you have to do. Just watch.
I'm the kind of guy. You're the kind of guy, Brad.
Watch.
As LL Cool J said, you're the kind of guy.
Watch Miracle on 34th Street. You'll get it. Right, John?
That's right.
John, don't ever watch that movie. Now John he'll go buy that movie today.